the woman is so multifaceted and so multi-layered. We go to describing her in the physical, we go to describing her in the psychological, we go to describing her socially, we go to describing her cosmically, we go to describing her spiritually.
Talk about alpha female. I have a definition of an alpha female.
All right.
I don't know what the world calls an alpha female.
Okay, let me hear it.
An alpha female is a woman who sits in her femininity.
So she's more feminine than masculine.
So I wouldn't even use the word
That's an alpha.
So it's not even alpha, because alpha is a masculine word.
Exactly. It's already, like even when you say it, so
I don't
strong.
even know.
Exactly. That's like it just tilts towards.
When you say, I'm like,
I get it.
I'm expecting them. But so now, even take away alpha. I am woman.
Wow.
I am the person who sits in my femininity.
Hello and welcome to another episode of The Balance. The Balance is the show where we get to see life from our different perspectives. My name is Ambassador Jessie, and as you know, I am your host. Today, we look at another conversation with my beautiful ladies where we get to speak about the woman. And this is because March is Women's Month. And on the 8th of March, which was a few days ago, we celebrated the International Women's Day. And so this is happy IWD, as we short form it, to every woman out there. And please ensure that you are accelerating action. That's what this year's theme is about. Let's take action after the talk. Okay? So I'm just going to jump right into it, introduce you to my ladies, and we speak about the woman. Who is the woman? What is she about? When we speak about femininity, what do we talk about? And today like this, the women I have, they go deep into conversations about who you should be. So if you're a woman watching this, or you're a man who would love to see that your woman comes to the fullness of who she is and her feminine nature and the gift of being feminine, please pull her in, get her to watch this, because it's about to go up and not down. So I introduce, first of all, Fun Abigail. If you have been following TLP Media or TLP TV, you are sure to have seen her. I'm going to let them introduce themselves. I know what they do, but there's just so much more that they can say more. So, Fun Abigail, my sister, good to have you here. Tell us about you.
Thank you for having me here. It's exciting. My name is Mfon, as you said, because I am a preconception to early motherhood educator. I am an author, I'm a writer, and I'm a singer. And a mom. And a mom and a wife.
Mom of two beautiful kids. And so thank you for being here, Mfon. Let me not jump over too quickly. We have Olamide.
Hello.
Sia. I like that name. Sia. Love it. Hi, Olamide. Nice to have you here. All right, your turn.
So I'm Olamide Sia. I am a women's development coach, and I'm also the founder of the Organic Woman Movement. Mm-hmm. And I'm a speaker, I'm a wife, and also a mother. So I'm happy to be here.
We're happy
and excited to have this conversation.
Thank you so much. So today we're speaking, who is the woman? Who is the woman? I know it just seems like you're a woman. Woman just means, you have things different down there. You can bear children, you secrete certain hormones, you're biologically female for the most. Some of us are aware that we have a different wiring, but we easily ignore it because we do not even know what it is about. There's the lack of education as to who a woman is, what a woman is about. The reason why I pulled you both here is because, we have a common teacher who is what do we call him?
Well,
Pastor Daniel. What do we call him? a women's coach. Not a women's coach.
He does a lot of things, but he's a women's expert.
He's gifted to
understand
the woman and teach a woman how to become one. And so that's what the conversation is going to be about. And honestly, this is going to be very revealing for a lot of women. And so this is me again saying, just be ready to hear things that you probably have known subconsciously, but have never had a confirmation for. This is your confirmation today. Let me begin with Olamide. Who is the woman? When we speak about the woman, who is she? What's woman?
So I loved what you had said when you started off with the material, because that's what we know, that's what we see, right? So the woman is the, I would say the software element. We spoke about this earlier when you said the woman is the software, the man is the hardware. She's the inner, the man is the outer, right? So we've said it, the woman is the one that has the mammalian glands, you know, that feeds the young ones. The woman is the one with the softer body. The woman is the one that thinks differently. You know, we think with both hemispheres, right?
Yeah.
So for the most part, a lot of us only know that much. Okay, the woman is the counterpart of the man, and that's it. The woman is the helper. And that's the one that we know, right? And that's it. But then we don't even understand that, okay, the woman is a custodian of values. You would say, well, what does that mean? But you are already operating in that. You don't even know that you are the one setting the tone of the value in your home, the value in your workplace, the value in your friendship groups. Do you get what I mean? So you don't even know that that's what you're doing. So I love what you had said. Basically, you're operating in this subconsciously.
Right.
Inwardly, you know something's going on, but you can't put your finger on it because somebody hasn't told you what that is, or you're not aware, or you haven't received that confirmation, right? So the woman is so multifaceted and so multi-layered. We go to describing her in the physical, we go to describing her in the psychological, we go to describing her socially, you know, we go to describing her cosmically, we go to describing her spiritually. So she is a layered.
And that's a lot of layers.
Exactly.
Which would you want to touch on?
Oh, gosh.
Which would you pick to touch on? Say 1, 2, 3, because if not, the whole time will be yours. You're
Okay,
a total teacher regarding this.
The sociological part, I was just thinking through this the other day. The sociological part is what I'd rightly said about how you set the value, right? So when we say the woman is the home, you know, we talk about that all the time. A wise woman builds her home.
That's
Well,
right.
we don't know what that means. We don't even know how she does it, right? But if you see that, you are the one that sets the value. You are the one that sets the morals, the ethics, right, in the home. So you now have an idea of how you do it. You are the one that trains the child, and this is the way to go. This is what we do. This is the conduct. This is how we behave in this family, right? Those are all things that actually come from you. It's not really the man or the father that does that. You are the one that is basically putting, would I say, bringing life or bringing color to the atmosphere, or the would I say your habitat, your home?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But without that, you just have a building.
Okay. So do you think this is something that has been societally established? Because, I mean, we're talking society now. Do you think these rules have been set by society, culture, or nature?
So something that I've come to learn as well is that the woman should not be told who she is from the outside. Her nature should dictate her function. Right? So even when you say, okay, yeah, well, the woman should be a mother and that's it because she's got the breasts and she's got the milk. Yes, but the physical or the material is pointing you to that, but it's pointing you to something more, right?
Let me let you pause. Let me jump to Mfon. Tell us what the woman is, because this conversation, I mean, we're already hitting on it hard. I don't know. It doesn't seem like we did one introduction, right? Pumping it in, right? And I know we're going to get into the feminine. And I truly want us to talk about the spiritual layer and the cosmic layer. Because the spiritual is the foundation for everything else, as far as we are concerned, or I am concerned, and I'm sure you would agree. So we'll get there. Okay. But Mfon, I want to hear you. When we speak about the woman, who is she? What is she?
So you were trying to well, it sounded like you were going to push what I'm about to say ahead, but
Say it. Don't worry.
But
We're good.
The woman is the embodiment of the feminine.
Here we go. Feminine.
So,
we're
yes.
there.
So it's not just because you have the physical body parts or because you can give birth. You are that because you embody the feminine. That's why the man can go and have your body parts, but he cannot be woman. He would still revert.
Can he even have the body parts?
Yeah, well, the boobs, the rest of the things, yes.
Only that.
But it
Can't have
doesn't.
the others.
It doesn't make him feminine.
Right,
It doesn't make him
right.
woman. So woman is that being that wears the feminine. And the feminine, well, let's not go into the fact that it is everywhere.
But let's speak about the feminine though, because for some this might be confusing.
Yeah.
So
When you speak, the woman embodies the feminine. What is the feminine? What is woman? Shebi is just female, male, feminine, masculine. What exactly are we talking about?
So
I know what it is, but I mean, please break it down.
yeah. So that's what my next book is on. Feminine traits of the woman. It is those qualities, those instincts she mentioned, those things that you just do. Society didn't tell you to cringe when something happened to a baby near you. Society didn't teach you to want to protect. Society didn't teach you to want to ensure that there's value system maintained. Society didn't tell you that.
Comes
It
naturally.
came naturally. So what are those natural things? They are the traits. What are traits? Characteristics, right? So now those characteristics, they are. She will do a better job, but let me just list them. There's sensitivity. Well, what if I just say sensitivity? You already know it's feminine.
Right.
She's sensitive. She sees beyond what you say. Why would you tell your husband, I don't think you should do that. I don't think you should relate with this person again. That's your femininity.
Pretty much like intuition. What will come?
You
So we have.
think it's intuition, but it's what
It's the
makes you woman.
wiring of the woman to be
Yes.
intuitive.
Exactly.
Yes. Then we talk about receptivity.
Yes.
The fact that there's this post I saw that you throw it at the woman, she will give you back. That's on different levels. So now let's talk about the fact that you gave her just sperm. And she made a baby.
That's right.
A human being.
Right.
That's receptivity.
Yes.
Then let's talk about passivity. The fact that you are that calm. You are not that
You're just the
obtrusive
gentle.
energy going everywhere. If you are, it is not feminine.
You stepped out.
You stepped out of your feminine. So sometimes people argue that, but it's my nature. Something happened.
Because it's not meant to
It's
be.
not meant
That's
to
what we're
be.
saying.
So now that even makes me want to talk about the fact that people even argue that people are born, boys are born wanting to be women. Something happened to your mother. I had to say it like that.
This early mother, somebody has appeared. Because now we're stepping into something else.
Yes.
Exactly.
But I don't want us to
Let's
miss
not
it.
go
So
there,
no. I don't
Okay,
want us to
okay.
miss it. So I think we should go there.
Okay.
Because there's a lot that we're going to be speaking about.
Yeah.
If I say let's move on, we most likely won't come back to it. So something happened to your mother. Are you saying that what happens to my mother can affect
Yes.
me as a child, or what happens to us because we all are mothers here can affect our children? Please
yes.
explain. Break it
And
down.
your mommy didn't just give you her looks. She didn't just give you her shape or her. Well, there's a lot. Mother's influence. She didn't just do that. She gave you her entire DNA. That's what I talked about in my first book, What I Wish I Had Known Before Giving Birth. I'm concerned about the woman because it's you who gives birth to the next generation, to the person who has a certain value system if they do not check it, to a person who behaves a particular way.
Yes.
Until they get to a point where they realize, something is wrong.
If they ever do.
If they
ever do.
So you said the child was born wanting is a boy, but you always wanted to be. Madam, you have problem.
Yeah,
That was
real.
why you gave birth to that child like that.
Like even what
Wow.
Ufon's saying now, like when I went back to reading on feminism as well.
Yes.
So if you see all the suppression, the subjugation, the the stress,
That the woman has gone through.
inequality that the woman has experienced for
Right.
centuries.
Yes.
Remember, I think you've probably heard a behavioral psychologist talk about this. Your behavior or your DNA, your behavior becomes your DNA.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
So now, over time, you have restructured yourself.
Exactly.
You have configured yourself into something else.
Exactly.
So now, all that information is stored in your body.
And
So when you're, one of the other feminine traits is formation. So
Okay.
you are
What's that?
forming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when
I
we
get
talk about,
that.
okay, the woman creates. The woman
Right.
creates. You're forgetting that you are only just looking at the physical creation, but you don't see that your emotions created this thing, right? So that also goes into different things that are happening with you, not just the being or the child
Right.
that you've just formed.
Yes.
So you've just created it with your emotions. You've created it with your thoughts. You've created it with your
Actions,
decisions.
decisions.
All of those things will add to it, right? So when we bring it down to being a mother, and your doctors will tell you, okay, what are you eating? Make sure you eat X, Y, and Z. Why is that? So again, we go back to the basic level, which is the material. But the material, again, is pointing you to other aspects of life.
And you're saying the material is actually basic, like
It
So
is,
it's the
because it's a
basic.
reflection.
yes, a reflection of what
is
is.
happening.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So when you go deeper, you then see, actually, this is showing me that this is possible here as well.
Oh wow.
And then it's more expanded. And then this is possible here as well and more expanded. You know what I mean? But you are
That's
only
a lot of connections.
It's a lot.
So, I was talking about the intrinsic nature of the feminine. Two things I have to say. Let me say this one before I go to the other. Just talking about how the decisions we make form the next generation.
Yeah.
I was speaking to someone at church, a friend from church, and she's about wellness,
Okay.
right? And healthy eating and how you can prevent diseases before they come, and you're not trying to manage them, but you can. It's about prevention. So the preventive measures or care. And she was saying, I don't know. So she's expecting.
Okay.
So I'm thinking that's what led to the because I'm trying to remember how we got there. But she says, it has to do with you first. How can you never eat a broccoli and you expect that when you have your child, they don't have a sweet tooth?
Oh, God.
And they're eager to eat vegetables when you have not eaten. And I'm like, wait, really? She says, yes. Whatever it is you consume. And that's what I hear because, yes, we're speaking emotions, but I think, like you said, you open this and you layer it. You open this, there are different aspects of the different things. And for me, what she opened my eyes to see is that down to what you eat can determine what your child will prefer or not after they come out. So transference.
Yes.
I love that you said that. I will give you a real life example. So I have a sweet tooth. Yes.
Okay.
I love Haribo's.
Okay. Well.
And I was like, I will
thought
make
about
sure my kids don't eat sweets and all of that. Yes, that's what I
see.
said, right?
Wait,
But-
that makes sense.
I said I would make sure that they wouldn't eat sweets.
my
We're gonna
goodness.
eat veggies. We're gonna do that, right?
Wow.
Okay. So
Okay.
I switched up, but I didn't completely cut out sweets from my diet, right? So as my kids got older, and then you're seeing mommy have sweets, what are you gonna do?
So values, though.
Thank you, right? And then if mommy says no, you can't have it. Why?
Why?
Right?
It's even in there
So
somewhere.
it's in there somewhere. So you've
Yeah.
given them that appetite
Yes.
for it anyway. So there's some children where it's like, okay, because you've had you're constantly eating healthy and things that they don't even know what sweets are. To them, they don't have a concept
Of what
of
the
it,
other thing.
of the other thing, right? Because
Yes,
again, you've
tastes
created
like.
that value.
Yes.
Right. So now it's the veggies, it's the water. We don't drink fizz. We don't. You know what I mean? But then if you're wondering and you're thinking, oh, but I want them to do this. Have you started doing it first?
Exactly.
So again, like you said, it starts with you.
The woman.
You're so right. You know what? Because sober reflection. 'Cause I have been about, my kids, I want them to eat healthy. I did a lot of milk as a child. Like I'm the one that would sit with a cup of it's supposed to be a cup of tea, but it's a cup of milk, and I'll still put in a spoon of milk and take it like that and just down it. So now that I've become an adult, thank God for my recent results, but before now, my cholesterol was high. And somehow
intuitively, I would say, I could tell where it came from. I didn't know till from childhood. My mom would buy them in huge sacks bags. And so it was readily available. So I consumed milk so much, and it was full cream. I mean, I will not do anything except full cream as an adult. And then they tell me in this my slim body that my cholesterol is high. And I'm like, high from where? You know? So I was having a conversation with a friend recently, and I'm telling her, you know what? We need to change. Now, this is talking diet and just healthy living as well. And I say it has to begin with us to change the diet of our kids, because now we're feeding them the same thing that we were fed. Before I had children, I had this same mindset that my kids will be on vegetables, they'll eat veggies, they'll eat healthily. Nothing that they do not eat right now. Lord help me.
Exactly.
Nothing that they do not eat. But now this conversation is making me realize that it's something that was in them before they even came to see the things that we now consume. Is aside the fact that it's the value system that we have at home where we're still not disciplined with the things that we consume. It is that from me,
Exactly.
as a mother
Who was passed
who who incubated, I passed something on to them, including their taste buds.
And this thing you said now, it brought me up to one of the things that fascinated me in my study was about the domestic nature of the woman, right? Because again, you are the one in charge of the food that we eat. So most of the time when you say, the woman, her job or her room is the kitchen, and we all get angry about it. But again, because you are setting the values, right? And it's pointing you back again to your physicality. You do have the boobs that produces the milk.
So
So that is not just the milk, it's that you're feeding the
nurturer. It's your place.
Yes.
Exactly. So something I heard about that as well was that it also translates to how you look after your man or how you look after your husband. You know, it's showing care. It's one of the ways you care for him. So if you are then, so let's say you have that value system in your home where your food, you guys eat healthy.
Right.
You will now ensure that he's eating well.
That's right.
Eating healthy.
You're right.
Again, that is extending his lifespan.
Very true.
Right? So it goes on to talk about the caring nature, the nurturing nature of the woman. So most times, we talk about it in such a, I say,
disjointed way.
So fragmented in the way, and it doesn't make sense, right? But if you say it like this, you see how it makes sense. And then you also see the responsibility, but the beauty in that.
Exactly.
Right? Not the whole when they just say to you, why is women bills at home? What does that mean?
What does it mean?
What does that
Why
mean?
do I have to do
Why
that?
do I have to do that?
Exactly.
You know,
why is he not building the
do you know what I mean?
Isn't he not the priest?
Right?
So instinctively, this is our nature. This is, okay, so it was even writing the book on feminine traits that actually I thought I got it until I started writing the book. So doing research, looking inward, and then I realized that I had a lot of things I needed to adjust.
Yeah.
And from the moment I started settling into the reality of what I am, looking at the traits, that sensitivity, receptivity,
Natural
passivity,
disposition.
that is there.
It is there. You
Who
can't.
is there?
Yes,
You
you
didn't
can't-
learn it.
Exactly.
It's there.
Exactly.
So even when you are, like, there was a time I was a tomboy. So even when you are if you
I know
are
a couple
being
of them.
sincere to yourself, you know that there's something in you that doesn't settle with
It
that.
doesn't settle with that.
Because intrinsically, that's not who you are.
We're going to talk about the alpha female. Yes, that just came to mind. It just hit me. I mean, I told you people this conversation, we're just going to have it. I'm going to just go with the flow. Because I've got a close friend who recently I was having a conversation with her. And I say, I can see why your disposition is towards the feminine. When I say that, I mean that she has female partners. She's my friend. Yes.
Partners.
Yes.
Okay.
So I said it's because you have a certain strength that I believe you picked from family. These are my people. Like her parents loved me. They're like my side parents, you know. And I could see, much as I was young, I could see how strong her mom was. And I said, I know that you got that strength from your mother. And I can somehow will be able to, to some extent, explain why you may tilt towards the female as a partner. Perhaps it's because you have a lot of masculine energy.
Yes. Yeah.
You have a lot of, so it will take, in quotes, so let's use the terms that we usually use, an alpha male. It will take a masculine man, exactly. To be able to make you feel feminine.
Yeah. But then if she's not also aware, like what Mfon said, there will be a struggle. She might not even come in contact with such a man.
Yes.
She wouldn't be able to.
Yeah.
Because there will be a clash. It's like male on male.
Yes. Yeah.
Because she's not a female.
Funny, she said so. She's like, no, trust me, it's gonna be very. I've met them and we've had clashes.
Yeah.
Like, it's not gonna work.
I'd like to say something here. When I met my husband, that was when I was still a tomboy. And we were always fighting, we were always having issues. And then, it was clear we loved each other. What was the problem?
Exactly.
But there was something you always say when we were fighting. Say, there cannot be two men in this relationship.
Oh, get man. Your masculinity was a little all over the place.
It was not a little all over. It was a lot all over the place.
You were a tomboy one time.
I was masculine girl. Yes. So it
Masculine
wasn't
girl.
just the way I looked it affected my look. So when we talk about the feminine, it is from the inside, it's adjusted, then it plays out in the physical. So you see it. I went for a boot camp that was for women in music. I saw two girls. Till today, I cannot wrap my head around the fact that they are girls, because even their boobs are flattened out, and they didn't try to flatten it out. But they are so tilted towards the masculine. They are lesbians. They are tilted towards the masculine such that it has affected their formation. So he would always say, there cannot be two men in this relationship. I didn't even understand until I actually started listening, because I was with him before I met Pastor Dan, before I met my husband. But until I started listening to teachings on the woman. Right. And I started saying, Father, make me a woman. Only one prayer. Father, make me a woman.
Perhaps, sorry, just to interject, and I'm going to let you continue, but just a thought, in my head, perhaps we should get more women, especially those tilted towards the masculine energy, listen to Pastor Dan.
Yes.
Just listen to things that make them more in touch and aware of their femininity, because that worked for you. I just wanted to say, please go ahead.
Yes. And I said I was making conscious effort. I was listening to teachings strictly on the woman, on what the woman is. I was reading his magazine. I was just listening to teachings on the woman. And I started adjusting. I didn't know. I started adjusting. And guess what? The quarrels started reducing.
Imagine.
And then he would say to me now, that when he looks, he even said that some days ago. He said, when he looks at me, he's like, fun? Nurturer? How? So but one other thing he said was, that was what I saw when I met you.
Oh, wow.
I knew that you could be that woman. So I started unwrapping and seeing layers of myself I didn't even think possible. Okay, so I was saying that when I was writing that book, I got to realize how much I was not sitting in my femininity. And from that moment,
when you were writing the
book. So from that moment, I started making efforts to go back and sit in my femininity. Guess what? Now, when you talk about alpha female, I have a definition of an alpha female.
All right.
I don't know what the world calls an alpha female.
Okay, let me hear it.
An alpha female is a woman who sits in her femininity.
So she's more feminine than masculine.
So that's an alpha.
That's an alpha.
So it's not even alpha, because alpha is a masculine word.
Exactly. It's already, like, even when you say it so strong.
Exactly. That's like, it just tilts towards.
When you say, I'm like, I'm expecting.
I get it.
I'm expecting them. But so now, even take away alpha. I am woman.
Wow.
I am the person who sits in my femininity. Guess what? What started happening to me? I got to a point where I realized when I shifted.
Okay.
When I was writing, I realized when I shifted. So I started trying to go out of myself. You talked about the fact that you were doing things that you felt,
right.
Then
Yes.
you knew.
So I had started stepping out of myself. So the moment I realized that, I went back. I said, hey girl, you're not weak. Passivity, they make it sound like it's a weakness.
Yes.
You're not. Do you know the day
I talked about passivity, I made mention of, I was talking about the masculine and the feminine. And I said,
Right.
the masculine, I see the masculine as the top of the ocean.
the boisterous energy,
Right.
powerful,
It can sink a ship and all of that. The wind blows on the surface. But I see the feminine as that soft, that down part. I don't want to speak English.
We get it.
Inside that,
Which still has strength.
Yeah.
Because it has a force.
It's a
Exactly.
force, yeah.
But
that's
it's
the
a
feminine,
silent kind of force.
That's the passivity in the woman. That is the woman. See, and she's controlling things. You see a very quiet woman, but she's the one running the man. The man that is powerful, going everywhere. But that's her passivity at play.
See, so it's interesting that you speak about this feminine sitting into being feminine, with your experience and everything in this time or in these times, because recently a movie is called Love in Every Word.
I saw
Have
it
you
yesterday.
seen it?
Yes.
I haven't seen it yet.
I love it.
It's a movie by Omonioboli.
Yeah, no, I saw that, but I haven't watched it yet.
Yes, funny part, I haven't watched it yet, but I've seen clips on it.
Yeah.
I watched
I've
the
put,
entire thing.
And the comments, when people speak about the Odogu who sat in his masculinity. This is me now interpreting what based off of the comments or based on the comments, what it just summarizes to say that he was masculine, sitting in his masculine energy, while Bam Bam sat in her feminine. I mean, you have people putting up comments like, after I've seen this movie, I am a baby girl. I am going to be totally feminine. Using the word.
Yeah.
There was nothing about being feminine in the movie. It was just the female. Bam Bam was the lady. Of course, you've seen it. Just carrying herself a certain way to be, as they say, to be what? Something and taken care of. How did they put it? I just want to relax and be taken care of. That saying. That was kind of based on what people have said so far. And a certain lady put up a funny comment. She said she went to work being feminine, being soft and being kind, and all the men were like, what's up? Who was doing you? She said after watching Word in Love in Every Word, that she went back to work and she was, being a feminine girl. And the people around her colleagues are like, what's happening here? Who is this? But just to say that, there's truly a disposition for the feminine. Much as, it's intrinsic, it's from within. There's a radiation that it comes with from the outside. And that's what you're saying. I don't know if you said it here or when we went on the break, where you started moving away from the roles that kind of made you masculine, just to sit in your being feminine, And I think it's important that we also realize, just speaking about this movie, the part of being feminine is allowing the man be masculine. I mean, when we went on that short break, Mr. Stems was in the studio said, I've picked one thing. An alpha male. That's how he put it. Then he says the masculine male would make the feminine female come out or manifest.
Yeah.
So that's I just like to, hit on that.
I like that you picked that movie because I loved it so much.
You've even seen it?
Yes,
totally.
I watched everything. The girl was actually masculine at the beginning.
Wow.
So he made her feminine.
He made her feminine in his masculinity. She saw that she loved the man. He wasn't crazy.
He has Peko.
Yes.
From the beginning, she had a good laugh when he says, "Oh, I was married."
And the reason why she wasn't why she was masculine, he wasn't her spec, was because she was masculine. She wanted men she could take care of, she could handle their bills, she could pay for their business, set them up, and all of that. But this man was different. But she loved it. How could she be loving what she hated?
Do you understand?
I love what I
like,
hate.
Exactly. Like you have a bad accent, you have an Igbo accent, but he sat. See this dynamics, and let's talk about. I feel like it's a good time to now, delve into how this is a totally spiritual thing.
Yeah.
It's the disposition that is by the divine. There's pretty much nothing you can do about it. There's a certain, even people who do not exactly call it God or believe in God the way you do will call it the masculine energy and the feminine energy, something that we understand, especially for people who talk about the universe and the cosmos, which religious people don't like to hear, by the way. But anyway, so let's talk about the spiritual. And let me begin with you, Lamidi. The spiritual aspect of this feminine thing that we've been speaking about, and this masculine thing.
So when we talk about the feminine and the masculine, they are principles in the universe, like you rightly said, right? But when we come down to our world, we're seeing it then manifested in humans. So with the human being, you're seeing it in the male, and we're seeing it in the female. We see it with plants. We see it with animals. We see it with, we see it with nature.
Right.
We see it in, the sun, the moon. So before learning this, I used to just, maybe this is all spooky. But
maybe it's all spooky.
But having that knowledge now, I'm like, okay, this is where it comes from. And then I'm able to sit in it because I understand, right? So if you hear things like, oh, the moon is feminine or night is feminine and day is masculine, then it goes back to what Yvonne was saying about qualities, traits, pattern. And that's what we see in the spiritual, what we see in the cosmic. So when we even talk about the cosmic is everywhere. So it's in everything. We see this pattern, this quality in everywhere and everything, even when we go past this world.
What we see.
Or this existence, right? So when people fight against the feminine or the masculine or fight against the woman, essentially you are fighting against God, right? Because God has shown you that, I've put an attribute or qualities in this being and she embodies this, right? So we're seeing the woman, but we don't know that what's behind the woman is the female. What's behind the female is the feminine, right? So even when we talk about this transgender and all of that, why do they revert back? Because it's not the physical that we're seeing. It's something behind, like you said, the spiritual. There's something that you cannot see.
And that's an expression of God, isn't it? I feel like the masculine, feminine are these expressions of God.
Of God. Exactly. But now we are the human embodiment of this, and then we're the ones showing this aspect or these qualities of God in a female or in a woman's body. And then you see the man, he's showing the qualities or the aspects of the masculine in a male's body.
Yes.
I think one of the ways we taught or learnt about it, like when you spoke about the spirituality or the spiritual aspect of it, it's literally seeing the Holy Spirit and the Son. And it's so beautiful when you see that, when you hear it like that.
Tell me about it.
So like what we said, when you connect with the Holy Spirit, you feel, I don't know about other people, but you feel like the Holy Spirit is feminine. Right? You tilt more to the Holy Spirit being more, I don't want to use the word exactly. So let's use all those qualities, right? So nurturing. We have the sensitive. We have the receptive. I remember what I said, when you start cultivating your spirituality or cultivating that aspect of you, right? You find that you become more sensitive. You become more receptive. You become more passive. People say things like, when you pray in tongues a lot, after a while, you stop talking too much, right? You become more sober. Wow. That is a feminine quality, right? So like what Mfon was saying earlier, if you're a woman who is loud, chatterbox everywhere, and again, this is not your job, then we need to check.
There's something. We need to fix something.
Something is going on. And then you can always go back and trace it. Why do you feel like you always have to talk? Why do you feel like you always have to be out there?
Wow.
And if you go back and check it, you'd be like, I didn't feel like I was always heard.
Right.
So I have to exert myself in this way. I didn't feel like you could see me. That's why I always have to be all over the place. You know what I mean? So when you see the reason why this or how they've stepped out, and they can see, okay, this characteristic or this thing I'm displaying right now is me stepping outside of my femininity. As they start adjusting those things or even healing, again, I say right knowledge, truth, light brings healing, right?
Truth, light brings healing. That's
so
right.
when you have that knowledge, I think because we don't know what the masculine qualities are, we
Right.
don't know what the feminine qualities are.
We should have that conversation with the masculine, I guess.
Right?
And people
So
who
we don't-
understand it.
And people who understand it.
That's right.
Right? So let me just even throw something there about the masculine. The masculine is decisive. The masculine initiates. It's not force and aggression in the way that we've known it. Right? So even I go back to, remember, I was like going back to the material because then it shows you, it helps you understand.
Yes.
So even we go back to the sperm and egg, right? The egg doesn't go chasing for a sperm.
So
The sperm
initiator.
he goes for the eggs, right? But even that as well, I've come to understand so many different aspects of this. So even the egg in itself, it's very sensitive and selective. Do you know that? So it goes all the way down even to the cellular level. And I'm like, this God, amazing. Right? But you see that it's in so many different layers. Again, if we go back and looking at the physical, because I like to use the physical to explain it. So even if you look at the physical and we're looking at our body parts or our genitalia, especially when, the man and the woman come together.
Yes.
Again, the body parts shows you who's what and what's what.
Right.
Right?
Receiver.
So the receiver, the initiator, the direct.
Oh my goodness.
Right? And then there is that flow. So if you see a woman where she's not comfortable receiving,
there's something wrong.
Something is off, She almost feels like, why does she have to be the one to stay back?
Yes.
And she can't go and get the thing that she wants. And nobody's saying that she can't go and do that, but there is a way. There is a feminine way to do it.
Yes. So before I get to you, recently I saw something, Gabrielle Union.
Yes.
You saw that?
Yes.
Where she says that it had always been 50% as it comes to finances between her and her husband. And she says, this is somebody in the NBA. There is no way he cannot take care of me.
Do 100. Yeah.
But by upbringing, orientation, the impact of society and earthly nurture. This is how she knows. She doesn't know how to relax and rest and be feminine.
Yeah.
And she says, but now I'm trusting more.
Yeah.
And she was speaking about how it has even affected their relationship, just like you and your husband. Yeah. And she says, now I let him, sometimes, because for him, he says he won't let her do it because he just wants to respect.
Exactly, he respects her.
Not because he doesn't want to do it or he cannot do it, but now she's learning how to let him lead.
And then for a lot of people,
that regard,
they get to that point where they've broken down. That's when they're like, okay, my hands are up, right? But then you don't want to get, for everybody's journey is different, right? You don't want to get to that point, but it's great for you to get there so you can adjust.
If you never get to the point where you realize without getting there, yes.
So, looking at that, what used to annoy me a lot was when people say things, let him be a man, okay? But have you first known what it means to be a woman first? Because then when you know, then you will let go of those, those masculine or those manly traits.
Right.
And then he can then have the room to do it.
To be a man.
But then if you don't know what you are and how to sit in yourself, how will you let him? You don't even know what it means to be a man. You don't even know what a man is.
My husband has to see some changes. Don't mind me. I'm sure he's going to watch it and be like, he won't even say a word. But now let me just touch on also something else before I'm coming to you that you had mentioned about understanding that some elements are feminine and some are masculine. The interesting thing is, even in languages, even in Hausa, they refer to objects, certain things as
French and the rest.
As feminine and masculine. They would say she, he, with things. It's the way that the earth is called her.
Because she's feminine.
So the earth is feminine.
Yeah.
It's the way even Nigeria, we refer to Nigeria as she, feminine. That's really interesting. When you're talking about the moon, the sun, the day is masculine, the night is feminine. Just that tender silence. And we can agree to what actually feels feminine without being told. Like if you just instinctively, intuitively think
Sit
about
in
it.
it.
Yes, you can actually
can
agree
see
that
it.
we can literally say, this is feminine, this is masculine, if they're
Even
brought
like
to
what you
us.
said about Nigeria being her, right? I was doing a paper sometime last year and looking at the natural mothers of different countries. And it was very interesting to see that they were all women, or they were all feminine figures.
Okay.
Female figures.
Natural
right?
mothers.
National
National
mothers.
right?
Ooh.
So it was like, so again, going back to what I said about custodian of value, right? So every nation has, if you go to the United States, it's got Lady Liberty, right? So different countries have their different ones.
Yes.
But then they stand there and they have this value that they say this nation upholds,
Yes.
right? So that in itself, that is feminine. So we haven't been able to see our role as a woman as bigger than what society
just being
has told
a
us.
home nurturer.
Exactly.
I mean, I'm just thinking about it, and even with the justice system, when you see the statue for justice, it's feminine with the sword and the book. And please let me come to you first, Yvonne. I know that you're loaded. You just want to talk, but we're also getting out. But let me hear you before we round up.
So I want to pick up from where Lamide, something she said. She talked about the fact that when you're fighting the feminine, you're fighting God. So she said when you fight the feminine in the female or the woman, and you fight the masculine in the male or the man, you're fighting God. What came to me when she said that is because of the fact that it's a pattern. You are God. I mean, it's God. The spiritual is present in everything.
Right.
It's in the two-ness. The fact that the left eye and the right eye are together. You cannot take the left eye and put it where the right eye should be. The left and the right hand, they are meant to work together, complement.
Right.
The pattern that brings, the fact that these represent structure, represent order. That's the word I was looking for. Order. So that's what you're fighting when you fight.
So you're fighting order.
Yes, when you fight the feminine in you as a woman.
Wow.
When you hear these things we're saying and you're like, that's how God made me. That's not how God made you. Why? In sincerity, when you sit with yourself, you know that there's something in you that doesn't quite agree with the way you carried yourself, with the way you went boisterous, with the way you went. The feminine is powerful. Like I was saying the other time, the feminine is powerful in a different way.
Right.
The feminine is forceful in a different way, in a passive way. You know, you hear situations where, marriages that are working, you know, where the woman has found her femininity.
Right.
You hear the man say, I'll not do anything without my wife agreeing with me.
And she's just feminine, no?
And she's just there,
passive.
quiet.
Almost passive means almost inactive.
Yeah.
In quotes.
We have painted a negative picture around these feminine traits. Are you kidding me? Why do you have a problem with my sensitivity? That I am able to perceive, and then you're saying, from where is it coming from? I can't explain to you. I am directed. Can you see that the spirit is channeled through me? So when I hear, I'm telling you what I heard. That the spirit controls the physical. I got it. And I told you.
I don't have to be able to explain.
I shouldn't have to explain to a masculine man.
Who knows? Because he understands his masculinity
that
as
it
well.
is my place. That I'm working in my office.
Yes.
I'm working in my office, in my femininity. Why are you fighting my passivity? Why are you fighting your passivity? Why are you fighting the fact that when things are going on, there's a calm that emanates from inside? Why are you trying to be forceful? Why do you feel that? Why do you feel that there's a problem when you are not answering? Don't you know that? Then the scripture said, soft answer turneth wrath.
That's right.
That's the feminine.
It's feminine. Actually, when you think about it, there's something feminine about that saying.
Yes, it is feminine. You are running things by just being. When I talked about the fact that I started sitting in my femininity, I realized where I had moved. And I started going back. Guess what? What I'm able to do now, I was not doing them then. I feel so powerful in a way I cannot describe to you. All I have to do is tell myself, I will do this. I want to do this. I feel powerful, not less, not unable to do things, not restricted, not limited. And this is me sitting in my house and being feminine. I feel like the spirit aligns. No, I don't feel. I know
exactly
that the spirit aligns with you when you sit in your femininity as a woman.
Right.
The universe aligns with
Aligns.
you.
Or you align with.
Yes, when you align. Yes.
So when you align.
when you align, then of course there is an alignment.
Yes.
On both ends.
Because it's pretty much like the universe is constant.
Yes,
It's
exactly. So
unmovable.
you
God is
are
unmovable.
unmovable.
So you're the one who has to come into in alignment with.
So everything begins to work for you. Wow. For you, because you allowed yourself. You didn't become. You didn't become. Well, this is who you have always been. That something probably shut down or something probably bruised. You know, going back to that movie you were talking about, now there was something in her that affected her. So her father had impregnated her mother, married her mother in Nigeria, but had a wife.
Oh, wow.
Abroad.
Yes.
So when the wife abroad found out, she came and embarrassed, and then of course there was no daddy anymore. So, but the daddy was this rich guy who had everything. So it was
There was a vacuum.
the feminine in her was broken or bruised because she then saw her mother step out of her femininity to be able to provide, to fend, to take care of, to do. And oh, woman, I know we were meant to talk about the mother. You don't know how influential
We've not touched on that.
it was. The moment she stepped out, parents, you don't know how influential you are because you are the first picture of reality to your children.
That's right.
So you are the father, you did the wrong thing, your child believes that all men are like this.
Yeah.
Then the woman did this thing, all women are like this. Then this girl began to walk in the same pattern that her mother had created. Wow. It's programmed. It's programmed. In my book, I talked about coding, genetic code.
Yes.
Talked about the fact that it's what you are that you transfer to the child.
That's right.
So how do you? But you cannot end the code. You can reprogram it
Because it continues. There's nothing you can do about that passing on.
Yes, something has to be passed on. It was passed on to you generations. You are a picture of many generations. You're not just your father and your mother. The environment. So when you sit, woman, wake up. In the moment I started becoming woman was the moment I started seeking self. The moment I started trying to find out who I am, that was when I started becoming woman. So that's if you are going to ask me, where does the journey
begin?
Womanhood begin?
Yes.
I say go and look for yourself.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Then you begin to pieces will begin to fall into the pleasant places, in the right places.
So find your femininity.
There is nothing about you that is outside you. It's here, inside. It's inbuilt, inborn, instilled, intuitive. But
there.
And do you know the beautiful thing? The fact that our femininity allows us to easily tap into it because of our passivity, sensitivity, receptivity. You easily slip into. You can. There's this pastor I was listening to that said, "Women, you gossip all day because you don't know the reality of your femininity." It gives you sustaining power.
But isn't that also part of our makeup?
Yeah.
Like this ability to express and talk.
Yes, but
Even though we do it, because it comes, and the reason why I touched on that so that we don't digress is because is the way that we say some things come naturally to us. I feel like that's an aspect of the feminine, which is also expression. It doesn't have to be gossip.
No.
But I mean, the fact that we can just talk, we can relate, we can connect. We
It's
have
that
this.
Connectivity is another feminine trait.
Yeah.
Thank you. You have put the word in. Do you understand? But because I just understand. I don't have the names. You have done these studies, but I just understand that there is something that is innate. These things are innate. These are innate. You can't tell me that they're learned.
That's the reason why you go to a place and you're the one who is able to connect with people easily. Yeah. The man is probably lost in his just masculinity.
Trying to analyze,
checking,
looking at security. Oh, by the way, let me even mention on one of my shows, it was on bill splitting. I had Nancy Oblete, who is a marriage counselor, and Bengo Lushala. And I was listening to you. You did? I was listening to you yesterday. And she says, based on our wiring and our makeup, she says, if we're seated now, she was saying, she was telling him, she said, 3 of us are here now. Me and Basti, we're female, you're male. If we should hear a loud sound here, she said, me and Mbasity will calm down 30 minutes before you do.
Yeah, it's proven in science.
Because of your masculine wiring, because security, protection, is part of something you're checking
3
out
minutes,
to be sure.
Actually. 3
it's
minutes.
3 minutes.
Yes,
I think she said 30.
Minutes.
Oh, I thought she said 30. Did I hear 30? If I'm not mistaken, I think she said something around 30 minutes. It would take him longer because while we are relaxed and we've moved on, he's still, you're still wondering, what was that?
Yeah, it would take us 3 minutes to calm down. Take them 30 minutes.
Oh, that's okay. So that was it. And she says, now, that's why when you tell a woman, confront it, face it, like fight, get up, fight. She says, soon as you tell a woman to do that, her blood pressure shoots up.
It's not in her nature.
Because it is not in her nature for her to be the fighter, defender. Of course, there's a place of nurture where
it comes out.
We cover our children. It's different when you're fighting for something. Nurture is kind of not. These things, they're just innate. Nurture has its place when you're protecting your young.
Yes.
But when you're confronting things, fighting with landlord, fighting with people on the road, you're fighting with, you're stepping out of yourself. Men, the masculine might be able to even do that some way because they are wired, maybe not, fighting in that regard, but just facing, standing up to confronting. But she explained that for a woman, her blood pressure will literally spike.
Yes.
Just because she's in a position that she's not meant to be as feminine.
Yes.
You found we've got a roundup.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say, we're going to have to do this again, by the way, because there's so much. I want to ask about the Proverbs 31 woman. What do you think about that scripture in regards to this? Just other conversations around femininity. And I'm hoping that, you can send in questions so we can take them on the final conversation. But let me let you give your final words. Lamide, give your final words and then I'll come back to you. Your words are my final words, hopefully. Thank you for this. So let's go.
So like what Yvonne had said about when you find yourself, you connect back to that woman within you. And, you hear that famous saying being that when you look for God, you find self. Or when you find self, you find God, right? So again, what we were talking about, your femininity is not outside of God. Right? Your womanliness is not outside of God. In fact, the closer you get to that person, you get closer to God, right? And you become more whole, you become more secure in yourself. And so I would just say that woman, find you, go inward, go within. Everything that, the equality we're fighting for, the empowerment we're fighting for, first find that empowerment within you. And when you have that empowerment within you, that empowerment outside of you will be so much more easier. You see a woman who is doing amazing and great things. If you look closely, you see how connected to self she is.
Wow.
Right?
Yes.
If you see a woman in her femininity doing great things. So let me be very specific.
Right.
A woman in her femininity. So she's not trying to be something else. She's being all woman, being all feminine, and she's doing those amazing things.
Thank you so much, Yvonne.
Yeah.
We didn't even talk about parenting. We didn't talk about motherhood.
Yeah.
So part 2 would happen. Loading.
Yeah. I would say the beautiful thing about this thing we're saying is that you cannot kill your femininity. It's there. It's buried in heaps and heaps of debris, depending on how much you have had to endure through childhood, through the environment, through social definitions. It's buried there. And there's always that spark of your femininity calling you, calling your attention. Just listen. That's the first step. Listen. And the beautiful thing is, the moment that you decide, oh, okay, what's this? You will see the universe bring you everything that you need. Every knowledge that you need to adjust, it will come to you.
When the student is ready.
The teacher always appears.
Thank you, ladies, so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for watching this. I hope this was impactful for you, especially for the woman, of course, because this is the focus, and for the men who love them, ain't it? So please, if you know that this is something worth sharing with another woman, I beseech you to. And this is pretty much a, in quote, movement. I mean, this is something that is not common knowledge, but it is so powerful, because knowing this is how you're coming to knowing yourself as well, like we have spoken about. Now, there's so much more to talk about, and would love for you to be a part of this conversation. So drop a comment if you want to send in videos. We want to hear your perspective. We want to know what you think. And if you have any questions, do well to share. If you want to see this continuation, do well to share with us. And we'll be right back to have more conversations about this. If you want to jump on it and be in the room, and be in the studio, let us know as well, all right? Because again, this is a movement. This is beyond just, we do not just catch cruise here on The Balance. We talk about deep stuff, that we know we need to be aware of. So thank you so much for being part of the show today. We look forward to having you on the next, because we have much more content coming your way right here on TLP TV and on The Balance in particular. God bless you. Take care, stay in love, and remain kind.